It's finally here. The cold full moon affected all of us. And now, the portal is wide open. This is the cold supermoon. The one I've been hinting at, the one I kept circling back to, the one you probably felt coming long before it arrived. It doesn't matter whether the moon has already risen where you are or not. The energy is here, and the portal is already active. And trust me, I wasn't exaggerating. I've been waiting and talking about this moon for a reason, and you're about to understand exactly why. If you're here right now paying attention to this exact moment, congratulations. You're earlier than most. People everywhere have been waking up faster than anyone expected, but you're ahead of the wave. You've been tapped in for longer than you realize. You've been into spirituality for longer than most. And the universe notices the ones who show up before the crowd. When a portal like this opens, most people walk right past it. But the ones who arrive early, they're the ones who get the first shift, the clearest signs, the strongest momentum. There's something powerful about this cold supermoon that most people won't understand. It has a way of spotlighting the ones who were ignored, underestimated, or pushed aside all year. The ones who stayed quiet, stayed kind, stayed consistent, even when life didn't return the same energy. This is the moon that finally turns the light toward you. If you've been wronged, dismissed, or overlooked, this moon sees you. It doesn't just acknowledge your struggle, it acknowledges your strength. There are people who only shine when things are easy, but you kept shining in the dark. And that's exactly why this energy is hitting you differently. This supermoon works like a silent justice. It brings blessings not as compensation, but as recognition. The universe remembers what others forgot. Every good intention you held onto, every moment you chose integrity over ego, it all becomes currency under this moon. You may notice small shifts first, unexpected support, opportunities aligning faster than usual, people suddenly valuing what you offer. These aren't coincidences. This moon amplifies what you've been building internally, and it finally starts showing up externally. And the real beauty of it, your shine won't look loud or dramatic, it will look undeniable. This full supermoon isn't just closing out 2025, it's leaking the first light of 2026 into your life ahead of schedule. Think of it as an early arrival of next year's version of you, showing up to tap you on the shoulder. You're getting a preview, a glimpse, a moment where the future self steps forward and says, "Pay attention, this is where you're heading." This moon creates what I like to call a future self echo. These are moments where you suddenly feel clearer about who you're becoming, where your energy sharpens, and where small situations reveal big hints. The way someone responds to you, the opportunities that cross your path, the shifts in your motivation, they're all clues about the identity you're stepping into next year. Your future self isn't far away. They're already whispering through your choices. This moon simply makes those whispers louder. Over the next couple of days, watch what expands instead of what collapses. Pay attention to what feels natural, what feels exciting, what feels strangely aligned, even if you can't explain why. These are the breadcrumbs. These are the snapshots of who you're going to be in 2026. Clearer, more grounded, more in control of your path. You're not just witnessing the end of a cycle. You're standing in the doorway of the next one. And the next thing this moon reveals will show you exactly why this timing is no accident. From December 4th to December 7th, the energy around you begins behaving in a way that doesn't fit the usual pattern. It's subtle, but unmistakable. The cold supermoon opens a small window where the world feels slightly tilted, as if reality takes one step to the side and everything you're used to stands in a slightly different position. Not wrong, not dangerous, just different. You might feel it first through timing. Something that normally takes days might happen instantly, or something simple may suddenly delay for no reason. People may act strangely honest, unusually emotional, unexpectedly bold, or oddly quiet. Conversations take turns you didn't see coming. Decisions feel more permanent. Events unfold with a strange weight to them, like they matter more than they look on the surface. This happens during strong, energetic gateways, but the cold supermoon makes it more pronounced. It amplifies the off-script feeling around you. You may witness coincidences stacking in a way that feels deliberate, seeing the same symbol multiple times, hearing a phrase repeated by unrelated people, getting sudden urges to do things you've avoided, or noticing that certain truths become harder to ignore. Some of you might even feel like the world is giving you little nudges, testing your awareness, checking if you're paying attention. Global energy also tends to shift during periods like this. It doesn't have to be dramatic events. It could be a surprising announcement, a discovery in science or space, a sudden shift in collective mood, or unexpected outcomes in situations everyone assumed were predictable. These moments don't always make headlines, but they ripple. On a personal level, the next 72 hours can feel like your life is running a hidden update in the background without using that word in the script. Maybe someone reaches out you didn't expect. Maybe an old situation finally resolves. Maybe an opportunity appears that feels strangely aligned. Or maybe nothing seems to happen at all, and that is part of the process too. Because quieter hours are often the ones where the deeper shifts occur unnoticed. Some people won't feel anything unusual, but that doesn't mean the energy isn't moving. Not every transformation announces itself loudly. The universe doesn't need noise to make a move. Sometimes the biggest changes arrive disguised as ordinary moments. These next 3 days are like the world holding its breath, creating just enough space for something new to align. And the cold moon's real purpose becomes clear once you understand the energy it's trying to build inside you. People hear the name cold moon and assume it represents emotional distance, but that's not what winter moons are about. Winter moons are about structure, about strength, about the kind of inner solidity that comes from surviving cycles, not avoiding them. This full supermoon carries a rare type of energy, one that doesn't overwhelm your emotions, but instead gives them shape. It's clarity without harshness and calm without detachment. You might notice yourself becoming more grounded in the days around this moon. Situations that would normally throw you off suddenly feel manageable. Problems that once felt heavy now seem easier to organize. It's not because your circumstances changed, it's because you did. This moon strengthens the core of you, the part that remains steady no matter what is happening externally. And the shift isn't loud. It's not the dramatic kind of emotional surge you get from other moons. It's slow, collected, almost elegant. You may feel more confident making decisions, more secure in your instincts, or more aware of what actually matters and what doesn't. This is what winter moons do. They help you develop backbone, focus, and boundaries without forcing anything. The cold moon doesn't want you to be hardened. It wants you to be unshakable. True strength isn't the absence of emotion, it's the ability to remain centered while the world moves around you. This full supermoon is like spiritual steel being forged quietly within you. It creates stability where chaos used to live. It builds resilience not by toughening your heart, but by clearing your energy so you're not pulled in 1,000 directions. And this inner solidity matters more than people realize, because 2026 isn't bringing gentle shifts, it's bringing powerful surges, sudden openings, and fast-moving opportunities. To navigate that kind of momentum, you need a stable emotional center, a grounded sense of self, a strong internal compass. This moon is giving you that foundation. It's preparing you for the intensity and growth waiting in the next cycle. The cold moon doesn't freeze your energy, it crystallizes it, turning it into something sharp, focused, ready. And once you understand what this moon is building inside you, the next layer of its message becomes even more revealing. For a long time, spirituality has been treated like a soft accessory, something gentle, aesthetic, and quiet. People talk about alignment, healing, balance, but they barely step into the part where actual courage is required. The cold supermoon cuts straight through that softness. It marks the end of spiritual autopilot and the beginning of something sharper, something more intentional. This moon arrives not to soothe, but to awaken the part of you that's been dormant, the part that actually does something with its awareness instead of just thinking about it. This moon is a turning point in how you approach your spiritual path. It doesn't care about how peaceful your room looks, how many quotes you've saved, or how many meditations you've bookmarked. What it cares about is whether you're willing to stand in your truth when it's inconvenient, whether you're willing to make decisions that match your potential, and whether you're willing to drop what's been draining you. Awareness is useless without action. This moon makes that statement real. Under this energy, you may feel a sudden intolerance for the things you used to tolerate. People who drain you, responsibilities that aren't aligned, choices that don't match who you're becoming. All of it becomes painfully obvious, not because the universe is punishing you, but because it's finally lighting up the pathway you're supposed to be on. And pathways only become clear when distractions fall away. The cold supermoon demands bravery. That doesn't mean chaos or impulsiveness. It means choosing yourself with consistency. It means saying no without apologizing. It means recognizing that spiritual growth isn't only about peace. Sometimes it's about precision. If your peace doesn't protect your path, it's not peace, it's avoidance. This moon separates the passive from the powerful. Those who float through their spiritual journey will feel the tides of 2026 pushing them in directions they didn't choose. But those who step into their authority now will navigate next year with clarity and momentum. This moon is summoning the spiritual warriors, the ones who rise without needing permission, without needing validation, simply because they know the time has come. And as intense as that sounds, there's something empowering about it, because everything this moon asks from you, it's preparing to return 3 times over. There is something deeply ritualistic about this final full supermoon, not in a mystical, unreachable way, but in a grounded, ancient sense. It carries the same energetic imprint that old civilizations recognized instinctively. The last moon of the year sets the tone for the year that follows. And this one goes even further. It doesn't just close a chapter, it stamps an imprint into 2026 before the year even begins. This is why your words matter right now. What you speak under this moon doesn't just express your thoughts, it sets your trajectory. Every intention becomes heavier, more magnetic, more potent. Words that might normally fade into the air suddenly land with weight. Speak like the universe is listening, because right now, it is. This moon encourages declarations, not doubts. It's not the time for vague hopes or half-hearted wishes. Under this energy, clarity becomes a catalyst. If you speak certainty, opportunities begin aligning in ways you didn't expect. If you speak commitment, you'll notice doors opening where there used to be walls. Even writing something down, a vision, a desire, a new direction, can send an echo into the coming year that strengthens every time you revisit it. There is an ancient idea that the moon is a reflector of intentions, but under this supermoon, it becomes more than a reflector, it becomes an amplifier. It takes what you speak and sends it forward into the unseen, giving it momentum long before you take your first step. That's why this moon feels like a ritual, even if you do nothing special. Your voice, your thoughts, your decisions, they are the ritual. And here's the twist, most people won't notice. Even your unspoken thoughts carry energy right now. You might find that a simple idea, something you've been scared to claim, begins unfolding faster than you expected, just because you finally allowed yourself to consider it. The boundary between imagining and attracting becomes extremely thin under a moon like this. The moon is a mouth. What do you want it to shout for you in the unseen? Because the intentions you plant during this window won't fade with the night. They will grow, follow you, and shape the foundation of 2026 in ways you'll recognize months from now. Most of the world won't feel the shift of 2026 until January hits. That moment when the holidays fade, routines restart, and the collective energy lifts its head for the first time all year. That's when the spiritual nudge will reach the general population, and people will suddenly feel more intuitive, more restless, or more aware. For them, the awakening begins later. But you, if you're here, listening, paying attention, you're not part of that crowd. You're already inside the shift. You're waking up early, and that early awakening comes with a very specific purpose. This moon isn't waiting for the calendar to flip. It's activating the first wave now, the ones who are meant to enter the new year prepared instead of confused, steady instead of overwhelmed, aligned instead of scrambling. Early awakening always happens to the people who've been quietly building spiritual resilience without even knowing it. Maybe you've been questioning things more deeply. Maybe your intuition has been louder, your internal compass sharper, your sense of self more defined. Maybe you've been sensing something big approaching, even if you couldn't explain it. These aren't random feelings, they're signals that the shift reached you first. If you feel different this week, you weren't left behind. You were chosen early. And being chosen early means you'll interpret 2026 differently. You'll see opportunities that others overlook because they're still waking up. You'll understand your own patterns sooner. You'll feel the direction of the year long before it takes shape. This is a huge advantage spiritually, emotionally, and even practically, because clarity is always the strongest head start you can have. Of course, early awakening also brings responsibility. It asks you to trust your instincts even when others don't see what you see yet. It asks you to act when others hesitate. It asks you to move toward what feels aligned instead of waiting for validation. And the truth is, if you've been drawn to this moon, if something in you feels alert right now, it's because this early activation was meant for you. While the world wakes up in January, you've already started. You're not catching up, you're leading the shift. And the next part of this moon's influence explains why this early awakening feels more emotional, more vibrant, and more alive than anything you've experienced before. One of the most beautiful, unexpected effects of this cold supermoon is the way it reaches backward through time and pulls forward a part of you that you haven't fully embraced in years, your inner child. Not the wounded part, not the scared part. The part of you that used to feel alive for no reason, curious without fear, creative without judgment, expressive without apology. That version of you isn't returning as a memory. They're returning as a force. This moon works like a spotlight that lands directly on your joy. You might feel urges you haven't felt in a long time, the desire to make something with your hands, to explore a new idea, to dance around your room, to try something new just because it feels fun. You may catch yourself laughing more easily, smiling at things you normally overlook, or feeling a kind of lightness that doesn't match the intensity of the world around you. That's not regression, it's recovery. Your inner child is finally being given permission to participate in your life again, and this time, they have the protection of your adult self. This moon gives your inner child the microphone, and the adult you finally listens. This reunion creates a very specific kind of healing. Adult, you brings wisdom, boundaries, and strength. Child, you brings imagination, joy, and creativity. When the two finally walk together, instead of living in separate emotional rooms, life starts feeling meaningful again. You stop surviving and start creating. You stop holding yourself back and start expressing. You stop shrinking and start expanding. Under this moon, don't be surprised if you remember an old dream you had when you were younger, or if you suddenly feel inspired in ways you haven't touched in years. Some people will even feel the return of old passions, old hobbies, or old parts of themselves they thought they outgrew, not because they're going backwards, but because their soul wants them whole. This cold supermoon is a bridge between versions of you, who you were, who you are, and who you're becoming. It's a full circle moment where you gather the strengths of your past and merge them with the clarity of your present. And the result is a version of you ready to move into 2026 with purpose, creativity, and emotional integrity. This isn't childishness, it's soul coherence. This is the moment where your story stops feeling fragmented. There's something you've been quietly circling around for years. That one fascination you always return to when nobody's watching. It might be a niche interest, a strange topic you love researching, a skill you've practiced in secret, a story you can't stop thinking about, or a passion you've never taken seriously because it didn't fit the version of you the world expected. Every time you try to walk away from it, it pulls you back. And you've probably dismissed it as a quirk, a distraction, or something you'd get to eventually. But this cold supermoon is shining directly on that hidden corner of your identity. It's not asking why you're obsessed with it, it's asking why you've ignored it for so long. You'll feel a shift where this inner fascination suddenly has structure, meaning direction. That random thing you've loved for years, turns out it's part of your actual mission. This moon brings a clarity that connects dots you didn't even know were related. Something clicks. You start seeing how that suppressed passion might link to your future path, not in a forced way, but in a natural, almost inevitable way. The universe doesn't preserve interests for no reason. The things that survive every phase of your life, every identity shift, every setback, are the things that are woven into your purpose. This supermoon activates a part of your consciousness where the things you love privately suddenly become visible, valuable, and viable. You may find yourself drawn to revisiting old ideas, unfinished projects, forgotten hobbies, or topics you used to research late at night just because they sparked something in you. What once felt random now starts feeling aligned. And the strangest part? You're going to notice opportunities, conversations, synchronicities, or sudden bursts of inspiration that revolve around this interest. It's like life starts rearranging itself to make space for it. The passion you buried is resurfacing with answers attached, with direction attached, with purpose attached. And here's the truth: this moon wants you to accept. You don't have to reinvent yourself, start over, or abandon everything you've built. You're not becoming someone new, you're becoming someone whole. This cold supermoon is the last full moon of 2025, the true closing curtain of the year, and because of that, it carries a completely different weight compared to the others. It's not symbolic, it's not poetic, it's literal. After this moon, there is no more lunar energy to process, no more emotional cycles to run through, no more spiritual testing grounds. This is the final checkpoint before you cross the threshold into a year that has been energetically building since mid-2025. And it acts almost like a bouncer at the door of your new timeline. What you bring with you determines what the next 12 months will feel like. This moon doesn't beg you to release anything. It doesn't coax you into healing. It simply reveals what doesn't fit anymore. It hands you the truth with no soft edges. You'll feel it the moment you think about certain habits, certain patterns, certain people, certain versions of yourself. There's a heaviness there, not because they're cursed or harmful, but because they've served their time. Their role in your story is complete, even if you're emotionally attached to them. The strange thing is, this heaviness doesn't show up as sadness for most people. It shows up as boredom, irritation, emotional neutrality, or a sudden lack of interest. It's your energy signaling this will not support who you're becoming. And the moment you recognize it, you begin to understand the real purpose of this moon. This moon is a gate, and a gate has one job: to separate what stays from what goes. This moon is a gate. What you carry through it becomes your reality. Once you see this clearly, avoiding the decision becomes its own choice. If you don't release something now, you're agreeing to bring it with you into 2026, where it will feel heavier, louder, and more difficult to ignore. Not because the universe is punishing you, but because the energy of next year is too fast, too sharp, and too transformative to carry outdated weight without consequences. The things you cling to out of fear or habit become friction. The things you outgrew become anchors. But here's the part most people don't realize. Letting go under this moon doesn't require emotional drama. You don't need to cry, meditate, journal, or force closure. Sometimes release looks like a simple decision, a quiet internal shift, a moment where you think, "I'm done with this," and your system adjusts instantly. This moon supports that kind of clean, decisive energy. On the other hand, anything you choose to embrace during this window multiplies. Confidence expands quickly. Motivation stabilizes. New opportunities begin forming in the background. Even your identity begins crystallizing into something more aligned. The moment you choose a direction, the universe begins accelerating that path with surprising speed. And this is where the cold supermoon becomes more than a release point, it becomes an amplifier. If you're still watching, I'd like to thank you for your attention. If you enjoyed the content and want to see more, please consider clicking the subscribe button. Your support is very appreciated. Feel free to share your experiences or thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, take care and subscribe for more insightful content.